In 1984, Coca-Cola quietly swapped the core ingredient in its most famous product and saved more than $100 million a year in the process. Yet when the American public rose up in outrage and thought they'd forced the company to back down, they were actually celebrating a victory that never happened. So why has no one ever told you this? Coca-Cola is America. It's the red can at your grandmother's 4th of July cookout. The jingle, the polar bears, the secret formula supposedly locked in a vault in Atlanta that no one outside the company has ever seen. For over a century, the brand built its entire identity on one promise, that what was inside that can had never changed. Timeless, authentic, the real thing. For most of the 20th century, the public believed it. They had no reason not to. Here's what was actually happening inside the company in 1983. Profit margins were getting squeezed. Sugar prices had spiked. A cheaper alternative, high fructose corn syrup, had flooded the commodities market. And someone at the top ran the numbers. Swapping sugar for corn syrup in a 12-ounce can save fractions of a cent per serving. But Coca-Cola was moving 350 million servings a day. Those fractions stacked up to more than $100 million a year. The problem was taste. Internal testing confirmed people could detect the difference. Not dramatically, not everyone, but enough to matter. So Coca-Cola's research division quietly began transitioning the product. By 1984, the swap was already underway in bottling plants across the country. Most Americans had already started drinking a different Coke. They just didn't know it yet, and the company had no intention of telling them. Then something went wrong. New Coke launched in April 1985, a fully reformulated recipe designed to beat Pepsi in blind taste comparisons, and the public detonated. 3,000 angry calls a day to Coke's Atlanta headquarters, protesters in the streets. A United States senator from Georgia called it a blatant disregard for American tradition. 79 days later, Coca-Cola announced they were bringing the original formula back. The press conference was emotional. The CEO looked relieved. Newscasters called it a victory for the people. America had spoken and a corporation had listened. But that's not even the part they really didn't want out. The Coke they brought back in July 1985, the one they called Coca-Cola Classic, was not the original formula. It was sweetened with high fructose corn syrup, not cane sugar, not the 1886 recipe. The ingredient transition that had quietly begun in 1984 was already complete. The swap was done. Think about what that means. The entire new Coke saga, the launch, the consumer outrage, the dramatic reversal, unfolded while Coca-Cola had already replaced its core ingredient. The public fought to get their Coke back. They won, except they didn't win a thing. What they got back was a product that had already been quietly changed while no one was watching. Roger Enrico, then CEO of Pepsi, took out a full-page ad in newspapers declaring Pepsi the winner of the Cola Wars. He was looking in entirely the wrong direction. Coca-Cola hadn't lost. They had just executed one of the most effective misdirections in corporate history. The new Coke outrage completely buried the real story. That classic Coke was already gone by the time the company announced it was coming back. Sales jumped 8% in the months after the classic launch. Consumers felt heard. Brand loyalty surged. The company posted its most profitable quarter in years, and no one looked. The financial press was covering the marketing comeback. The public was busy celebrating. The FDA has no authority over the difference between cane sugar and corn syrup in soft drinks because both are legal ingredients. There was no fraud charge to file, no regulatory body with jurisdiction over a recipe change, and no consumer protection law requiring Coca-Cola to disclose what sweetener it was using. Roberto Goizueta, the CEO who oversaw all of it, was named Fortune's most admired executive in 1987. He received a $1 million bonus after Classic Coke's return drove record earnings. He died in office in 1997 and was eulogized as the visionary who saved Coca-Cola from itself. The new Coke story became a famous Harvard Business School case study on consumer behavior. The ingredient swap did not make the syllabus. Today, Every standard can of Coca-Cola sold in the United States is still sweetened with high fructose corn syrup. The cane sugar version exists, Mexican Coke, glass bottles, a specialty import, a premium product you pay extra for. The original ingredient is now the exception. The cheaper substitute is the default. And the brand that built its entire identity on never changing its formula has never publicly acknowledged that it did. The question isn't whether they intended to deceive you. The question is whether it matters if they did, because the system never required them to tell you the truth. And right now, it still doesn't.